Una is an open source software platform for building communities, social networks, collaboration hubs, any kind of websites, complete websites with members, membership levels, permission controls, content sharing, and social networking features. All of the Una code is open, available on GitHub openly, and it's licensed under MIT license. Very permissive license, which basically means that you can do whatever you want with it. You can rebrand it, you can resell it, you can change it into your own product if you want to, and there's no requirements like committing the code back into the system, or there's no requirements to continue paying for the software if you ever want to disconnect from the services that we provide. You can host Una on your own server. It can be a cloud server or dedicated server, server cluster, or you can choose Una Cloud. So Una Cloud is basically the initial stage hosting environment, which allows you to launch your site instantly, and it would have all of the Una Power Apps and System Apps and Core Apps connected and available for you within this environment. It also comes with backups and the ability to clone your site and download your site at any time. Like anything with Una, whenever you create your site or change anything on your site, all of that belongs to you. All of the member data, all of the content, and basically, like I said, the software, since it's licensed under MIT, you can do whatever you want with it. So you can naturally rebrand, customize, and extend it. It's highly customizable. So on the front end, we do have templates, and you can change the look dramatically. Like in this example, this is our own Una.io website, and we are using the template called Protein. But if you change to another template, like for example this one, you have a different navigation layout, or you can change to Lucid, and it's a different layout again. All of these templates can be restyled further to work with your brand. Like you can upload your own images, your own logos, change colors of all of the elements, buttons, blocks, navigation, links, menus. Una is also a very powerful content management system. So you can create custom pages, change blocks on these pages, manage content, create custom navigation, and rearrange it the way you want. You can basically build your whole site with it, whether it's a personal site like this, where you just share something interesting within your family, or a content publishing site like this one, where members share beautiful love poems and love quotes. Or you can use it as an add-on to your main business, like in this case, where it works as a community attached to an exchange, a cryptocurrency exchange. Or it might basically power a small fans network, and in this case, it's a community of the old OpenRCT2 game. It can be a lot of fun. And if your ambition and idea goes beyond small niche-based communities, then you can create a generic social network like Facebook or like Twitter with your own rules, with your own strategy, and your own values. The interface is fully responsive. We designed for mobile viewport first, and then scale up to tablet and desktop. You can control which blocks to show and which ones to hide on different viewports as well. Thanks to the fully responsive interface, you can use your entire website as part of your native iOS and Android app, which will basically just work from the web view of that app. As far as the features go, Una comes with a full set of social networking features, such as profiles with feeds and timelines, symmetric and asymmetric connections, so you can make friends or just follow people. All the blocks and profiles, just like blocks on all the pages in Una, they're configurable, so you get to choose, as a site operator, you get to choose what to show and what not to show, what to allow the users to do, and how the profiles are arranged. So if you want to show friends, for example, here, or if you want them to show them here, you can do that through the Pages Builder. I'll show that later. And in the profile, they all come with their own media, like profile pictures and covers, and tabs for the content that's been created by this profile, by this member, and the context modules that this member has joined or created. Context being things like groups, events, spaces, and channels. One of the unique features of Una is the support of multiple profiles per account. And I'll show you how it works on our own website. Una.io, the website that is promoting and distributing Una, is also powered by the stock version of Una. We're eating our own cooking. So I've just logged into my profile on Una.io. And here you can see that I have two profiles. One is my personal profile and one is an organization profile. So in this instance, we have two types of profiles installed, organizations and people, and I can switch between them, and this way I can switch my personas on the site. So if I switch into this company profile, I can use the site as a company representative, for example, and I'll be everywhere, I'll be referenced as good company. While if I switch to my personal profile, I'll be Andrew Boone everywhere. Now let's have a look at system-wide features first. Once again, on the example of our own Una.io website. Here we are on the home page for the authenticated user. So system-wide, we have commands which load into the feed if needed, or if you go into the discussion itself, for example, or a post or wherever, you would have commands in it. Commands that you can reply to, like, report, delete, etc. And you can build the meta information that shows in commands. Then you have notifications, very powerful notifications system, which works with your on-site notifications, sends push notifications and email notifications. And starting from the latest version, users can also configure their own notification settings. As you can see, they can choose what sorts of notifications they want to turn on and turn off. For the media, we have image transcoders, video transcoders, and audio transcoders. So when you're uploading something with an attachment, a video or a photo, the system will change this into the format that's preset in the site settings to make sure you have the right sizes for everything. And that includes video as well. So if people are uploading the video in some format that may not be played back on different devices, the system will transcode this into MP4 and whatever format is needed for different browsers and different devices. And there's a storage engine as well. So all of this is all of the media that's uploaded to the site. It can be stored locally, or it can be stored in the remote storage, such as Amazon S3. So In terms of content, the main modules would be posts, which allow you to create something like a blog, community blog, where everyone can create their own articles or blog posts, if you will. And they're all arranged by time, usually in browsing. But there are different browsing representations as well, so you can represent things more like a gallery, for example, or like a timeline of posts. Posts come with categories, hashtags, and you can feature specific posts. Then there's very popular discussions module, which is very much like a forum. And as well, it will have categories, hashtags, tracks what are the popular top discussions, and you can feature specific discussions to display them anywhere on the site. Unlike blog posts, the main way of browsing the discussion is by showing the ones with the latest updates first. Another important content module is albums. It's a mix of photos and videos. So users can upload mixed media and it displays as the album. But along with that, we also have separate modules for just videos if you want to create something like YouTube, or just photos if you're looking for Instagram-like arrangement. And if you want to further enhance the selection of your content modules, we have polls, glossary, files, and you can install third-party modules for the content. Like, for example, we have articles module installed separately in this instance. Next important class of modules are what we call context modules. So all the modules which work as containers for content, they would be profiles themselves, and also all types of groups. So the actual groups themselves, and modules like spaces, events, channels, they are the ones where you post content to. Some sites make really good use of the context modules, and this allows them to structure the site. Like if we go to this one, also powered by Una, this site is structured entirely around interest groups. And groups can be public, private, or secret. They can also be categorized and featured. Also, this site is a good example of how different design and slightly different layout can be implemented. But also groups can be turned into some other type of context. Like in this instance, it's coins, customized and redesigned to work as an interest space for people interested in a specific type of cryptocurrency coin. And each coin would have their own members and content. And when someone is posting something, then they can choose where the post goes to. And if I'm following certain context modules, contexts like certain groups or coins or spaces or channels, then I can post into them. Now there are hundreds of different small and big features, system-wide and in the modules. Things like, for example, at mentions, where you can mention a person, mention a profile in your content post, or in a discussion, or in an update, and it will notify the user. Or, for example, the visual editors, which look like there's no additional tools, but they're actually powerful visual editors, and you, for example, can copy paste the image and upload straight away, or share a link and it will automatically unfurl and attach a rich embed to your post. Coming back again to the design of the whole thing, depending on the styling and the colors that you have applied, the template that you turned on, the site can look differently. So, same site, completely different look. And there's also multilingual. We ship it with 2 languages, English and Russian. But you can also add your own translations, your own languages. From the monetization and e-commerce perspective, we have Marketplace module, which can be configured as the site store or community marketplace, where people sell different products at their own payment gateways and can get paid directly. And there are also integrations for more brick and mortar kind of businesses, where you actually ship actual items, and there are integrations for Shopify and Snipcart. There's also paid levels module, so you can create membership levels and charge membership fee for them. That's another way to monetize the site. And let's have a look at communication modules. So we have something like Mailbox. We call this Conversations module, which is more for slow-paced, long-form communication between one or more people. Looks a lot like a mailbox. And the main benefit is that the initial message can be edited together by the participants, so it can be collaborative. The more popular one, and perhaps one of the most exciting modules in Una, is the Messenger. Una Messenger is really powerful. It's a real-time messenger based on Node.js. It can work as one-on-one private messenger or a group messenger embedded into any page or a group, any context module page on Una, or as a public chat. Like in this case, for example, I'm looking at Shoutbox. So it looks like a conversation within the messenger, but along with that, it is also embedded on the home page. And if I go back to Una homepage, you can see this little Shoutbox block, and anything that's posted to here is, if I have participated in this Shoutbox conversation, it will be also pulled into my messenger. The messenger supports attachments, emojis, and even video recording. Now, on this side of content administration and content moderation, this is entirely customizable experience. Since Una is designed for sites that may potentially have multiple admins and multiple moderators, you can, as a site operator, you can decide what it's going to be like for the content moderator to work with their own dashboard. And you choose what blocks to show and what information to pull up and what links to various content moderation tables and lists so that they can easily access reports or accounts or content that they need to manage. And there's also very powerful analytics modules which shows all sorts of content and profiles data points. And we keep adding more and more items to this. So you can observe growth dynamic of the site, the totals, and select data range. To answer your questions. Just recently we have added MassMela, so now admins can send out newsletters and track their performance. They can create campaigns, add attributes to the campaigns, choose segments that they're sent into, and when the campaign is sent, view the analytics for that campaign. So this covers perhaps 1% of the functionality and general capability of the front end. And just coming back again to different sites, showing how it can look very, very different depending on how you arrange and how you configure the site. And it can serve all sorts of purposes, all sorts of interests. And you can build communities, social networks, dating sites, interest clubs, whatever is your idea. Now, if you wonder how all of this configuration is done, do you need to be a developer? Do you need to fiddle with the data model of this site? How do you do this? Well, for this we created a very, very powerful and robust configuration system, which we call Una Studio. I'll log into Una Studio in Una.io. So this is Una Studio. And what you see here is the list of different modules. We call them Una apps. So they can be modules, they can be system tools, they can be templates, integrations, or even language files. All of them we call Una apps. Una Studio is only accessible to the site operator. That's the back end of the site. And that's where you have all the settings for the entire site. And importantly, these blue modules or apps, they are configuration builders. The permissions builder, pages builder, forms builder, and navigation builder. For example, in navigation builder, you can change all the menus of the site. You can change what items to show in them, in what order, and who can see them. For example, this site navigation menu, the main one on top, I look at the items, I see what's available, and I can rearrange them. I can turn on and off the links in the navigation menu, and I can decide what membership levels can see any of the links. Standard, contributors, administrators, premium, whatever I decide. And this way you can regulate visibility of pages and links so that you can give premium access to certain content on the site, or maybe limit certain users. The levels, you have complete control over what levels are available on the site, and you can create new ones. And the levels, or we can also call them memberships, they get actions attached to them. So you can tell, okay, moderator can execute all of these actions in different modules. Like they can, for example, comment to posts, and they can edit their own comments, and they can remove their own comments, but they can also edit comments of all others, or even remove all others. But if you feel like maybe that's too much for a moderator, you can say, well, you can edit, but you can't really delete them. And that's only available for the administrator. And then you just grab someone like the administrator, and the administrator can do just about anything. Now, most of the configuration happens in Pages Builder. So this is where you can change all the pages in different modules. For example, I'll take from the system, I'll take the About Us page. And it's a simple page. And if I have a look at it, it's just a couple of blocks in a simple layout. But I can change the layout and choose something like a 2-column layout, and basically just drag and drop the blocks, and the layout will instantly adjust. It also will remain responsive regardless. So on the mobile viewport, it will always jump into a 1-column layout and will stack the blocks. You can choose what membership levels can see specific blocks. And if you want to hide something from unauthenticated, for example, you can. Or if you want to temporarily deactivate the block, you can do that as well. And importantly, you can choose to hide or show certain blocks on different viewports. Let's say if the information in that block is auxiliary and you don't want to show it on the phone because the phone has very limited screen space, then you can just hide it on the phone. And you can change the block layout. Like let's say in this case, Una team has a full block background and title, but if I change it and to, let's say, content only, then it will look like this. Let's bring it back to normal. This About Us page is a very simple one, but some pages can be quite complex. So if I take a home page, for example, then it would have the layout with one horizontal area and 3 different columns, different sized columns. And as you can see, there are some blocks in there but hidden, but there are also some blocks that are visible only for certain members. Blocks themselves can be very, very different as well. So some blocks are provided by modules and they have pre-existing functionality. Like if I want to add a block with latest polls, for example, I can throw them in like this. I'll be right here, and I can put them somewhere, let's say under the feed. And if I look at the home page now, I can see latest posts right under the feed. Some blocks are system-wide, something like authentication, account editing, some typical content blocks, or system-wide create post, for example, or create post within context blocks. And you can have your own custom blocks. So these are already created, and to create the new ones, you just grab skeletons. And so you can add just an images or a translatable block with content, a menu of any kind, or just pure HTML or raw block with whatever content you want. And if you edit, you just edit it like this. You choose the layout, throw in content, decide on who gets to see this block, whether it's active or not, and it's all done. I'll delete this one for now. Unayo is full of information as it is. Going a bit deeper, Forms Builder. That's where you structure your entire database. And the whole data model is presented like this, and you can decide on what fields to include in different forms. And on the output, the actual pages, they are in fact what we call displays. They just look like information, but they are in fact forms, just not editable. So you can take something like, say, events. And an event of any kind may have 7 different displays. When you're adding an event, deleting, editing the cover, inviting someone, so all different instances of how event can present to the user. And depending on how it presents, it can show different fields. So when you're adding events, usually that's when you see most number of fields. These are the available ones, and you can turn them on and off, and you can rearrange them. And you decide what membership levels can see these fields as well. You can change values and titles for them. All the information is translatable, and if you have multiple language files installed, that will be translated as well. And you can even add new fields, different types. This essentially allows you to structure your whole site, your entire database. And you can even build search forms yourself. There you go. There's a search form for people, and you can rearrange, change captions and descriptions. There's a number of available pre-built search forms as well, and different modules will be adding new search forms. Permissions, pages, forms, navigation. All the green ones would be your content modules. So when you install posts, for example, you'll get basic settings for your posts. The orange ones are profile modules, profile apps. In this instance, we have persons and organizations installed. Templates, we usually color code them as white. So we have Protein, Lucid, and Decorus installed. And by the way, if you want a different arrangement of these apps here, you can always click this and drag them around. And you can also pick the favorite ones that you use most. And when you click the star, you will only see the favorite ones. I have a few selected. The red ones are the system apps, the ones that generally have some kind of settings. So for example, Polyglot is the one where you control all of the texts. Depending on installed language files, on this site we only have English installed, but you can edit the actual text that's corresponding to the language key. And I can also change the emails. Obviously, emails can also come in different languages. So that's where you edit them. These are transactional emails that are sent to users depending on what's happening with them on the site. But these are not notifications. This is when, for example, they're resetting the password, or when you're sending a confirmation letter. That's what we call transactional email. But there are also notifications. Notifications have their own settings for on-site, email, and push. So let's say when you go to the email notifications, you can choose what would be the default combination of settings for everyone on the site for each type of notification. Designer is the set of basic visual settings like your logo, site icon, cover pages, and you can also add different injections into the site. Storage is where you can see what's been uploaded to the site, and you can add additional files there. General settings for the site, including the caching, the security settings, storage configuration, the way accounts work, two-factor authentication settings, notifications, push notifications, all of the system-wide settings, and the settings for modules, individual modules. So they will be pulled into here, but you can also access them from the launcher from each individual module there as well. So this is just some of the apps. There are some more technical ones where you can, like the profiler, where you can track the performance of the site code and the page's execution, the anti-spam settings, which are hooked to different spam tracking databases, some MassMela for connecting your own transactional email server, or hooking it into something like Mandrill or Amazon SES. And there's a very, very powerful developer module, which is essentially a way, like another layer again, which allows you to create your own modules or control the settings that are not otherwise available through the standard settings in other modules. So we deliberately tuck away some of the more powerful tools into the developer module to ensure that it's only done by the people who understand how it works. So you can add additional modules through the apps market. Apart from the ones that we provide, there are third-party modules as well, which you can purchase or just download the free ones from the apps market and install directly to your site from this app store. Integration modules. They're integrations built for Una. So in this case, we have MailChimp, Intercom, Proala, different tools. Can be third-party SaaS software services or full-blown platforms that are integrated with the site, or authentication integrations, like for example Una runs as its own open authentication server, so you can have something like Una Connect or whatever your site name is, your site Connect, and you can have a network of communities and log in with the same ID into different communities, or just integrate with your single sign-on environment with your other site, with your existing infrastructure. So there you go. This is Una Studio, Una Frontend. This is the most powerful and the most actively developed and passionately supported community management system in the world. And we invite you to try it.